My name is Tamara Abid. I'm from Bangladesh. I'm here at the Presidential Summit on Entrepreneurship, and I represent BRAC, which is the largest international development organization founded in the developing world. We work in 5 countries in Africa and 4 countries in Asia, including Afghanistan, actually. And we have affiliates in the US and UK. And what I do for BRAC is I run a couple of their social enterprises, one of them being a retail handicraft chain, Bangladesh's largest lifestyle store chain, and the other is the second largest dairy milk processing business. And they're both social enterprises that support and focus on women. I think the most important thing is the discussion and the realization that women are actually the key agents of change. And if we really need to move this world forward and meet the needs of the 21st century, then we need to focus on women. Because empowering women and giving opportunities to women will actually make sure that our next generation is better educated and healthier.
Is it possible for businesses to become successful in a post-conflict country like Afghanistan, where there's been 30 years of war and rule of law still being strengthened?
Yes, it is, and that's the really good news. We've just been doing a survey in Afghanistan of business attitudes, and the amount of optimism, and it wasn't just in Kabul. We did it in 6 cities. The amount of optimism really encouraged me.
And the survey that SIPE did of Afghan business owners, right. What were the major findings?
Rule of law and contracts and property rights, that's one of the big ones. Another one was security, of course. Nobody should be surprised about that. Transportation was another concern. And I'm sorry to have to say it, but we've all been reading about it in the papers. Corruption was an issue for them.
And did they mention anything that's improved over the last few years?
Well, the economic growth. Afghanistan has actually had very strong economic growth over the last several years. And this is the reason that they're investing, hiring people, and planning the expansion of their firms.
And SIPE obviously does work around the world. What role do you see entrepreneurs playing in the larger scheme of development?
Entrepreneurs are the lifeblood of development. And let me just give you an example. We're running a program through the U.S. Chamber here called the Free Enterprise Campaign. And one of the things that we found in working with a very famous think tank here in the United States called the Kauffman Foundation is that entrepreneurs, businesses that are 1 to 5 years old, started almost all the net new jobs for the last 5 years. So if you don't have entrepreneurs, the only kind of job growth you can get is government, and that's not good because it's not sustainable.
How, in a post-conflict country where it's transitioning, from an informal economy to a formal economy, what are the, things that entrepreneurs can do to succeed when you have this kind of transition?
Well, frequently entrepreneurs are very gifted at finding ways of substituting. I'll never forget my first trip to Afghanistan was late 2002. And like every other tourist, I'm no different than anybody else. I was staying at the Intercon and they had a rug show. So I wanted to buy some rugs. But of course, I didn't have the amount of money necessary for, Afghan rugs are pricey. They're beautiful and they're worth it, but they're pricey. But the Afghan entrepreneurs, with no banking system, found a way that I could write a check and then they would batch them together as long as I had somebody to vouch for me. That was the key thing, having somebody to vouch for me. And I did have somebody to vouch for me. And they took my check, they batch all the checks together, take them to Dubai, and make the business transaction. So the key is trust. Now the difference between a developed economy and a transitional economy is the amount of trust. In a transitional economy like this, trust has to be based on personal stuff, on personal relations. In a developed economy, the trust is in the rule of law and in the institutions.